actual tripod has been on Simulator 4 trying to get a hole-in-one at Pebble Beach for at least 2 hours, if not more. He's sweating profusely. He smells awful. But he keeps grinding. The reason he's grinding is if he can knock a hole-in-one on the 17th at Pebble Beach. It was like 107 yards. If Josh does this, we think Elijah Campbell has agreed to shave his beard. And, of course, we would do it on the air and on the video stream. And I think we would let Josh blindfolded shave Elijah's beard. That would be some fun. So that's where we're at. And so far, Josh has failed miserably at getting this hole-in-one. You know, close only counts horseshoes, hand grenades. You know, close isn't getting the beard shaved there, Yellman. Just keep swinging the club. I think Josh has said he will swing till 6 to try to get this hole-in-one accomplished. We should have hooked a charity of this, Josh. Just have you swing until 6 o'clock or until you get the hole-in-one. It's almost like it's a swing-a-thon with Josh Yellman here at Pro Swing. And we will keep you up to date on the progress of Josh Yellman. He spent a lot of time in the rocks. I don't know if that's where the hole is, but Josh spent a lot of time in the rocks. Last night, just, look, that was fun, man. Seeing South Carolina, you know, battle toe-to-toe, haymaker to haymaker with LSU last night. The number one ranked team in the country. Pull a win in a game you really didn't believe they would win until they won it, right? I mean, let's just be honest. The way this season has gone, when this thing was tied, when LSU got the lead in the first inning off a 2-run homer, you're like, oh, geez, here we go again. And then South Carolina started to, grind its way back in this contest. Cut the lead to 2-1 with a KJ Scobie sac fly. Then once again, LSU opened the lead up to 3-1, and you're going, oh, here we go. But then nothing happened. And then in the 6th inning, South Carolina scratches back to tie the game as Henry Kazmar tripled in a run, and then Kennedy Jones hits the sac fly to bring in Kazmar from third. Jones had 2 clutch RBIs in this game. We need to give Kennedy Jones props as well. Then LSU took a 5-3 lead in the 8th, and that guy, Michael Braswell, like Kristen West said on Takeover Hour, just quit booing Michael Braswell. 3 hits, going 3 for 3 last night. Did damage against the Gamecocks in the SEC tournament last year. Just cheer the former Gamecock. Then maybe he'll start going hitless. So Braswell knocks in a run as well. It's 5-3. And that's when you go, well, that was fun. At least it's been competitive. It's been close. Carolina has been run ruled. It's all right. Because that's where your expectation level is right now. But then, once again, I should say Kennedy Jones, like we said, with the 2 big RBIs, the single to left, and also to go with that fly out from earlier, Jones gets that second big RBI to make it 5-4 in the 8th, and then KJ Scobie. Dave, let's get the KJ Scobie highlight, the home run. Can you play that for me really quick, my man? I would greatly appreciate if you could nail that.
This ball is blasted to left. Is it out of here? It is! KJ Scobie has tied it up in the bottom of the 9th.
That was something else. Something else.
I tell you what.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. So that ties the game at 5, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, well, how about this? But then you're still sitting there going, it's a 5-5 game, and you still feel like, well, the way the season's been going, LSU will, win the game on a balk with the bases loaded or something crazy. But it was South Carolina who got the victory, thanks in part to the other team's mistakes. Let's get that game-winning play, Dave. South Carolina gets the win on a wild pitch. Dylan Mayshore scores, and the Gamecocks celebrate. It was just nice, man. When you've gone through this kind of a season and you get a moment like this in a game like this where you can enjoy it, that's cool. And that's what it was last night. Just it doesn't change this season and what it's been, or it doesn't change your thought process on anything good or bad. It's just for one night you played like you were hoping you were going to play for this whole season. And South Carolina gets the win here. Henry Kazmar, a couple of triples in this game. Scobie had the 2 hits, including that home run. Kennedy Jones with 2 big RBIs as well. And South Carolina, plus we can't forget the pitching. Ashton Crowther gave up a 2-run homer in the first inning. After that, really settled in. Only gave up 1 run after that, 4 1/3 innings. Brandon Stone also threw 4 1/3. Made a couple of mistakes ahead in the count with some breaking pitches, left some cement mixers, and Stone had to pay the price for them. But Matthew Becker got the final out of that 9th inning, ended up getting the win. Becker came in, lefty on lefty. Becker got the big out and ended up getting the W in relief. Just a good night. It's just an enjoyable night for a team and a program and a fan base that has just really suffered this year. Has really suffered. Post game, Paul Mainieri got to be happy, jovial a bit, and you could hear it in his voice. Was not wore down after another tough loss, which has happened a lot this year. Mainieri talking post game. Let's get where he talks about everybody involved contributed to the win, Dave.
Today we didn't give up. Scobie, of course, comes through, but his hit was, obviously a major part of the game. But there were a lot of guys that battled so hard tonight. I thought Crowther, pitched, his heart out, and then Brandon Stone did as well. He hung a couple of 0-2 breaking balls and gave up hits. But in typical Brandon Stone fashion, I just saw him after the game, and I was talking to him about how he's got to bury that 0-2 pitch. He goes, hey, at least they didn't leave the ballpark like they usually do when I hang those 0-2 curveballs. They were only singles. Okay, how do you argue with that, right? So, but, a lot of guys did a lot of great things tonight, and, it was a wonderful win for our program, for the city, for the team, for all of our fans, and it really was. It was a special night for us all.
Yeah, and it was just, especially for Mainieri. That's obviously coached LSU for a long time, won a national championship there, a number of trips to Omaha. So again, Mainieri's not going to say it in front of the microphones, but he probably went and enjoyed himself. If he does have a cold one or 2 or 3, or whatever beverage of choice he had to celebrate. Just a good night at the ballpark for South Carolina. Now, you have a tall order come the next 2 days. You're going up against high-level pitching, 2 guys who are going to hear their names in the Major League Baseball draft. The young dude, Anderson, tonight could end up being a top 10 pick in the MLB draft. Looked at one of the 3 best lefties in the draft. So an elite arm talent is what South Carolina will face tonight in Anderson. And look, if you can find a way to pull out one more win, if you finish the season taking 2 out of 3 from the number 1 team in the country, that's nice. Does it mean you're going to go to Hoover and run the table? Probably not. But if you take that momentum to Hoover, maybe win a game, then you walk away from the season winning 3 out of your last 4. And this is a team that after April 18th, I think it was, South Carolina beat Ole Miss at Founders, winning the first 2 games of that series. Since that second victory against the Rebs, South Carolina has won, up until last night, 1 SEC game, and that was against Kentucky. Had lost 9 of their next 10 in the SEC. So last night kind of broke a skid, and you feel good. Nobody was breaking out big celebrations in the clubhouse, but it was just a very nice victory for a crew that, needed one very badly. So really nice win last night for South Carolina. Do it again tonight, 6:45 pregame. 7 o'clock first pitch from Founders. Once again, hosting the number one team in the country, LSU. You can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game in Columbia and our affiliate in Myrtle Beach, 100.3 The Game. Softball getting at it. The regional this afternoon, I believe 5:30 against Elon. And if South Carolina does make it to the regional final, and it could be a rematch with Virginia. Virginia and South Carolina had two really, really tight games early in the season. So we'll see where all that goes. And you heard Wes and Chris talking to Coach Chastain Woodard here a little while ago. I don't know, Dave, we might re-rack that. Maybe. Get it? So just give you a heads up. Maybe we'll just we'll rerun that baby at some point on the show. But Wes and Chris talking to Coach Chastain Woodard as they get ready to go at it 5:30, I believe, this afternoon against Elon. And there's expectation high, sure. I mean, South Carolina is a national seed at 8. Their road, not to say it's super easy, but it's a nice draw, and we'll see where it takes them. So again, that gets rolling at 5:30 this afternoon. We'll jump back in here. Here's some more sound from Paul Mainieri and the players over a really nice win. We'll hear what Harry Kazmar had to say about what does it mean to beat the number one team in the country. We're going to hear from Kazmar coming up, and also from the coach, Paul Mainieri, here on the Halftime Show. We're hanging out again live at Pro Swing Golf, Forest Drive in Columbia. I mean, you just want to come in and play. No matter what level of golfer you are, this is the place to come to. Play some golf, climate controlled, not going to get rained on. No one's going to hit a ball and go 4, and then you're in trouble. So it's a good place to come. Play some golf, have some fun. We'll talk more about what's going on here at Pro Swing in Columbia throughout the show. It's the Halftime Show. Post-game sound from Carolina's victory over LSU coming up next here on The Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
The Men's Clinic of South Carolina, here to help you if you're a guy, you're getting older, you can't remember where stuff is, not sleeping for crap. Your workouts, you just can't lift as much as you used to at the gym, or you're bouncing back from a workout is just a lot worse than it used to be. You don't have any life drive, sex drive, personal drive, professional drive. You got no drive. You're driveless. It could just be low testosterone. It's that simple. One way to find out is you set up an appointment at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, 803-875-MENS. It's confidential. It's free. You tell the folks at the Men's Clinic your story. If they think it could be low T, they'll do some lab work. If it comes back low testosterone, here's the best part. They'll put you on a program specifically designed for you to get you to feel like you again. 803-875-MENS. It's a Men's Clinic of South Carolina. Give them a call. Start feeling better. Live from Pro Swing Golf, Forest Drive in Columbia. Celebrating the PGA Championship as they're in the second round. And last time I looked, Johnny Vegas has a 3-shot lead at 8 under at this point. You've got some newbie types right now sitting at the top of the leaderboard. J.J. Spawn, 5 under, part of the crew, 3 shots back. Ryan Gerard as well. These are guys that haven't really what you call competed at a high level at majors so far in their careers. But right now it's where you're at. Jonathan Vegas. Johnny Vegas, like they were calling on SportsCenter this morning. Early second round, still atop the leaderboard at the PGA Championship in Charlotte. Okay, so South Carolina last night with a really nice win over LSU. Do it again tonight, 6:45 on the game here in Columbia and Myrtle Beach. Let's get to this cut, Dave. Henry Kazmar was asked by the media, what did it mean to beat the number 1 team in the country? And here's Kazmar's response. Hit it, Dave.
Yeah, I'd say definitely a little bit, but our opponents really don't matter. We're playing against the game and doing everything that we can control. Just making the plays and trying to get the big hits going. And it doesn't really matter who we are playing. Fastball is a fastball, grounder is a grounder, no matter who the opponent is. So I feel like we really just took that to hand tonight and got the win.
That's the mindset, the perfect mindset, right? It's that mindset of, look, we're playing ourselves. If we play the best, if we're the best version of us, that's what we got to do first. And then we worry about the opponent. You hear a lot about that in sports now. We're just worried about us. We've got to concentrate on playing our best. And if we play our best, we're really going to be difficult to beat, or we can go out and beat folks. And that's where a lot of coaches want their teams to get. Now, you can't be blind to the fact you're playing the number 1 team in the country. That's a duh. But you also kind of want to take that Gene Hackman in Hoosiers view. Hey, guys, measure the rim. Yeah, it's 10 feet, just like our gym. Everything's just like our gym. It's a basketball court. Yes, it's in the state Final Four for the state championship or whatever. But you know what? It's just like our court at home. So you always want to get the mindset of, look, we're playing a game, and we just got to simplify it down to that. And can't think about, oh my God, playing the number 1 team in the country. I'm so nervous. No, you can't. You cannot play that way. So I get where Henry's going there. All right, Paul Mainieri. Let's get to this cut, Dave. Mainieri, the team. When the winning run scores, Monty Lee's sprinting down the third base line with the runner, all excited as Mayshore crossed home plate. Players are jumping up and down, and Paul Mainieri's just kind of stoic. And look, here's a guy that's won the College World Series. Here's a dude that's been to Omaha multiple times, has had a lot of big W's in his life. And I don't want this to sound mean, because it's not supposed to be that way. Winning this game for Mainieri was probably more relief than joy. Oh, we won one, thank God. But you don't dog anybody that celebrates a win in this situation. And it could have been very easy. Mainieri could have went out and dogpiled, and you would have understood it. But Mainieri kind of was very stoic and didn't show a lot of emotion after the winning run scored. And here Mainieri was asked about in the postgame, and here's what Coach said.
When I was a young coach, I was like, jumping with every pitch, you know what I mean? But, as the years have passed, I've learned to control my outer emotions a little bit more. And, I was excited. I was very happy for our players and for our team. But I also know there's 2 more games this weekend, too. I let the kids celebrate. They had a wonderful celebration out there, and I was just kind of soaking it all in, if you know what I mean. I didn't want to be jumping around like a 18 to 22-year-old. I wanted to just kind of absorb it all, and it was a wonderful win for our kids. I was so happy for them. But it's just not my nature anymore. I haven't for years, been a big jumper around and doing those kind of things. It's all about the kids as far as I'm concerned.
I want which is cool. And you totally understand it after all these years of coaching. That you're, less emotional. And plus, you're 67 years old. You go run out and celebrate the players, body parts might get snapped. Things could get hurt. Hips could break. You got to sit there and you go, wow, it's a bunch of 18 to 20-some-year-old student athletes, in a lot of them in phenomenal shape. I'm not going to go out there and jump around. I could get hurt. But there's Paul Mainieri talking about, I just kind of chill back, man. I just kind of watch the moment unfold. And like I said, we'll see what happens the rest of the weekend, what goes on in Hoover. Does it feel like this is a season changer? Of course not. No one's going to sit here and blow smoke and try to pretend it's going to turn around everything. No, the season's pretty much over. You are who you are for the most part, but this gives you some confidence to play these next 2 games, see where it takes you, and if you can hold your own for the final 2 contests of this series, maybe it also helps you carry a little bit more of a little bit of a confidence as you kick into Hoover. But last night was just fun. It was fun to see a team that, for some reason, the baseball gods have just decided to squat on them all year, have things work out. Like the 3-0 pitch, the Chase Woda, and Mainieri, and we'll play the cut probably later on the show, Mainieri was open and saying, yes, he emphatically gave him the green light. The way the season's been going, that won't work. Woda will swing the ball out of the zone, go down 3-1, foul for the next pitch, should be 3-2, and then strike out looking. That's the way the season's gone. But in this moment, a gut decision by Coach Mainieri worked. Woda swung at the 3-0 and bashed a triple and ended up being pinch run for by Dylan Mayshore, and then Mayshore scored the winning run. But again, it's just when your season's going awesome, most of your decisions work. My gut just feels like that works. When you got a runner on third and 2 outs, the worm burner 75 hop ground ball gets between short and third. When you're not going good, it's gobbled up by the shortstop, and the shortstop makes the play, and you don't score. So that piece of strategy last night, that gut feeling for Coach Mainieri, it did work. And like I said, we'll hear that sound later on in the show. We are cooking the halftime show. Terry Ford watching Josh Yellman continue to try to get a hole-in-one. How many balls do you think you've hit? About 17,000 so far? Yes. It's not good. Our sales manager, Leslie, walks up, watch him take about 10 swings. She's like, it's not going good. He had a lot more enthusiasm at around 9 than he has now. Yeah, it's just not good. He's sweating. It's just, they're going to have to disinfect that entire bay. They have to close it down, clean it up. It's just not pretty. It's not pretty. He'll start drinking soon. He's going to, maybe that's the key to the hole-in-one. Start boozing. Maybe 2, 3, 4 beers in, he'll start cranking holes in one. And the reason we're bringing this up is because we believe, since it was not turned down, that if Josh Yellman does get a hole-in-one, Elijah Campbell will shave his beard live on the air and on the video stream. So that's why Josh is not allowed to leave this place until it closes. What time do you guys close tonight? 10. So, Josh, you have officially about 9.5 more hours to kick this hole-in-one. Again, no pressure. The wife will understand. Hope you don't have any reservations out tonight. No plans. All right, halftime show. We're hanging here live from Pro Swing Golf on Forest Drive in Columbia. We'll come back just in case you just woke up and you have no idea what's going on. We'll catch up on some of the stories in the world of sports. Bill Belichick, the hoodie was on Good Morning America. And if you ask me, if I'm naming people I never thought I'd see on Good Morning America, Belichick would be on the list. But he got to yip it up with the crew on GMA. We'll talk about that next, and just in case you just woke up here on the halftime show on the Game. woke up. A historic moment
Breaking news.
on the halftime show here on the game live from Pro Swing on Forest Drive in Columbia. Josh Hellman, Dreamy Josh, LL Cool Josh, covered in sweat and other bodily fluids we will not discuss. After, what do you think? I'm going 7,422 attempts.
A little less than 3 hours this time. We did better than last time.
You have made progress, my friend. In less than 3 hours, Josh Hellman knocks the hole-in-one down on the 17th at Pebble Beach. Seventh hole on Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
That par 3 is 107 yards or something.
Yep.
You nail the hole-in-one, which we believe, because we did not get a no from Elijah Campbell.
He did not say he was not.
Yes. So that means he will.
He should.
I'm going to go to our judges, Josh Hellman and Terry Ford.
Yeah, I sacrificed my body for this.
Yeah, it was...
I lost weight today.
You dropped 10 pounds. I told you, I joke, because you and I talk about Pelotons. We both are Peloton dorks. You did a half marathon on a treadmill.
Yep.
I think you lost more weight
More sweat.
swinging that golf club and more sweat than you did when you ran that half marathon.
This was harder than running the half on the treadmill.
All I know is you were successful, my friend. Nice work. I do believe, since we did not get a no from Elijah Campbell, I think the judges, Josh Hellman and Terry Ford, are going to lean toward that means Elijah Campbell has to shave his beard live on the air and on the video stream.
I absolutely should.
I believe. And our objective observer, Leslie, our sales manager, agrees with us. She's another judge.
And we have video and visual evidence of this.
Video
happening.
evidence, visual evidence.
There's no getting around it.
I mean, this place went insane.
All six of us.
All six of us.
Seven.
Went
Eight.
nuts. 7 or 8 of us went nuts.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, my friend. That was impressive work.
I feel good. I gotta go shower. I gotta get back to work.
You smell.
You know.
I think you might. You know what? I think you should just go on sales calls the way you look and smell right now.
I look like a winner. I'd be like, how many of you have hit a hole-in-one on Pebble Beach?
That's right.
Hole 7.
Fantastic,
Twice.
sir. Give me another one.
All right.
Excellent work.
Get back to work.
LL Cool Josh with a hole-in-one, which means Elijah Campbell will be on the clock when he gets here. We'll have a conversation with Elijah about shaving his beard live on the air and on our video stream. All right, so back to, just in case you just woke up, so Bill Belichick's on Good Morning America. Said nothing, which he shouldn't. Again, he's pimping a book. I get it. You're trying to sell your book about you and your historic career and coaching and all these things. I understand. I do. And, you're in the car wash, you're doing the tour, and, Bill, not the most media-friendly guy in the world when it comes to being interviewed. The book is called The Art of Winning. And Belichick saying he's learning every day on the job at North Carolina. He's learning something new about the college game, even about the hash marks being wider, all sorts of stuff. And so he talked a bit about that. And, the transfer portal, North Carolina's brought in like 30 guys through the portal. Not a lot of like high-level dudes that, are looked at, either former 4 or 5 stars or guys who are having, great years at other places. It's a lot of next-level guys, second-level-ish, or, guys that Bill thinks he can coach them up, or Bill looks at that their traits or skills fits how he wants to play football on both sides of the ball, whatever the case is. One thing I'll say about this real quick, the football-y sports part of this, is Bill's going to find out something. You got to have dudes. You can go get a bunch of 3 stars and coach them up to a certain point, and yeah, you can be good. But if you truly want to win championships and you want to play in big games and have, a fancy 1-loss record, you got to go recruit 4 and 5-star players. You just do. You can fall into a really good year every now and then when everything works for you. But if you want to consistently be a powerhouse program, you got to go recruiting, man. And you got to recruit high-level players. You just do. So Bill will find this out. But right now, he's still in the. We're gonna go get guys that fit what we want to do and fit our culture, and they might not be 4 to 5 stars and all that. But I'm Bill Belichick. Have you seen my rings? So we'll see where all that goes. And also, Bill was asked what his girlfriend Jordan Hudson means to him. Belichick said on Good Morning America, we have a good personal relationship, and I'm not talking about personal relationships, and just shut it down. And that's fine. That's his decision, his choice. It's his personal relationship. That's how it should have been handled in the CBS Good Morning interview. Now, Jordan Hudson was not on the set at GMA at all. Bill says she handles some of his professional stuff away from football, lets him concentrate on football. And that's really where she should be, not, again, just the ultimate grinder that is Belichick, the ultimate we don't want distraction guy that is Belichick. Having this big distraction. I've heard people say, oh, this is what Bill wants. When he has big distractions, his teams were good in New England, Deflate Gate, all these other things. Yeah, okay. If you want to go down that road, I'm not going to disagree with you because that's your thought. My thought is the ultimate football coach does not want distractions, and guess who's become the big distraction? Him and his girlfriend. No one talks about how good North Carolina could be on the field or not. No one talks about the players they brought in, the players they've lost. Nobody talks about anything. Everybody's talking about the 24-year-old girlfriend, and I've heard she might not even be 24. So I've also heard this one. Bill is so good at manipulation. He has had this story become front and center so no one talks about his team so he can go under the radar and surprise the world. Maybe that's what Bill's doing. Maybe Bill is playing chess while the rest of us are picking our nose. I don't know. But we'll see. But so Belichick was on Good Morning America today. Just in case you just woke up, this is just a very interesting story about where we're at in the world of college athletics. Otega Oweh was the leading scorer for Kentucky this year. Oweh is just kind of dipping his toe in the NBA draft process. Oweh can still come back to Kentucky or go in the portal and play somewhere else if he wants to, if he doesn't go to the NBA draft. Right now, Oweh is ESPN has Oweh at 77th overall on the top 100 big board. So that's not even a second-round pick. That is a free agent. So Corey Alexander, who played college basketball at Virginia and played in the NBA for a period of time, Corey Alexander says this is very simple. Go back to Kentucky and get paid through NIL. There's some rumors that if Oweh comes back, he'll make $3 million. Oweh's not going to make that in the NBA draft because he's not going to get drafted. So Corey Alexander's like, bub, go back to college. Take the $3 million, ball out, do the things that the NBA Combine folks told you need to do to improve your draft stock, have a great year, help Kentucky have a great year, come back to the NBA Combine, looking like a better NBA prospect, but go back to college, work on your game, and make $3 million. That's a no-brainer to me. It really is. I agree with Corey Alexander 100%. If you're Oweh, you need to just go back to school. We talk about this all the time, that in the old days, this scenario was, let's say a player is projected as a second-round pick, and he just doesn't want to go back and play college ball to try to improve his draft stock. So he'll go be a second-round pick, might get a two-way deal, might get some guaranteed-ish money, and could end up in the G League, whatever. Everybody says come back to college and improve your game, but you know what you can do once you end up in the NBA? Improve your game. Because you know what you're doing all the time, 24/7? It's ball. It's basketball. It's not college. It's not going to classes. It's not any of that stuff. There's no limits on what you can do. It's just you go play ball, and you go get better. And you practice, you practice, you practice. You practice with your team, you practice with coaches, you practice by yourself. That's all you do. You have a cot in one corner of the gym, you have a coffee kiosk in the other part, whatever, and you just grind. So that whole idea of go back to college and improve your game, no, you can go to the NBA and actually improve your game, maybe even better, because you're not doing college. But now in the world of NIL, this example kind of picks up more weight because now you can go get paid to go improve your game and get paid more than you would in the NBA in some instances like this. If you're Oweh, let's say you get $3 million. you're going to get paid more than almost half of the guys drafted in the first round in the first year of their deals. The number 30 pick in the NBA draft gets roughly $2.1 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. So you're going to make almost $1 million more than the 30th pick in the NBA draft in the first round if you go back to Kentucky and work on your game. And by the way, you're projected not to hear your name called. It's a no-brainer if you're OA. All right, that's just in case you just woke up here on the Game. Firehouse Sub Text the Hour coming up next at 803-404-6100. It's a halftime show live from Pro Swing on Forest Drive in Columbia right here on the Game. Firehouse Sub Text the Hour 803-404-6100. A lot of texting about Elijah Campbell having to shave his beard now. since Josh Yellman, our phenomenal account executive, after almost 3 hours of trying to get a hole-in-one at Pebble Beach, nails the hole-in-one, which, because Elijah didn't say no, we have decided as judges that since Josh did hit the hole-in-one and Elijah did not say he wouldn't shave his beard if Josh nailed the hole-in-one, now Elijah Campbell possibly going to have to shave that beard. Live on the air on the video stream. And I texted Elijah, said, Josh nailed the hole-in-one, shaving that beard. Ugh, I guess. But I'm kind of dragging my feet. The good news is it'll grow back. The beard will grow back. Maybe we got to get a charity involved. You know, we can give the hair to a charity. I wonder if a charity would take beard hair for a good cause. When I had a ponytail, and I did, I had 12-inch ponytail. I don't know if any of you have ever met me, you know, seriously, or seen me. Yes, I used to have like hair, and I had a ponytail. It was a foot, and I decided, I'll never forget, my girlfriend and I were walking through a mall. This was about 2008, somewhere 2008, 2009, and I still had it, but my hair was starting to thin. And I saw a dude who was losing his hair but still had his ponytail. Was not a good look. And I turned to her, I said, be honest with me. Is that where I'm going? She's like, yeah. So I said, okay. Head over to the old Great Clips or the hair cuttery or whatever it was. Cut the ponytail. I cried uncontrollably. It was a foot. I remember the woman was like, oh, would you like to donate this? I said, yeah, but can I go home and spend the weekend with it first, and I'll bring it back on Monday. So I cuddled with my ponytail for 2 days. I'd had it for years. And then I took it back and donated to charity. I wonder if we can donate Elijah's beard hair to charity. We'll find out. So maybe we can make this for a good cause to put even more pressure on Elijah Campbell not to weasel out on this thing. So a lot of text on that, and we appreciate all the texting about Elijah and the possibility he might be shaving his beard live on the air and live on our video stream, since dreamy Josh Yellman nailed his hole-in-one after about, I would say 5,000 tries. And we are here at Pro Swing. Look, if you are a golfer, this place is like, this is your mecca. It just is. And, you know, weather, there's no weather problems here. You come in, you can play around the golf, take you 45 minutes to an hour. Bring your buds. Each of you take about 45 minutes to an hour. You get to pick a course like Josh was using Pebble Beach, using the 7th hole at Pebble Beach. You can pick a golf course. There's tons of them in the simulator. And you can play, whether you're a serious golfer, a kind of serious golfer, a semi-serious golfer, or you just want to have fun and treat it like a video game and play and enjoy yourself. Whichever direction you want to go, you can here at Pro Swing. They also give you a free 30-minute swing analysis done by a PGA trained pro, PGA certified pro. Will help you with your swing. And I've been here when the PGA Pro has been doing that, and they're nailing it. Plus, these simulators, if you're serious about getting better at golf, the simulators give you a ton of analytics about your swing and about your shots. So, again, this place is a paradise if you're a golfer. There's 4 bays. You just set an appointment, schedule your time in here. Maybe you can come in if there's a bay open. You can jump right in, whatever the case. And there are lessons, even if you're a scratch golfer or you're a beginner. You can get lessons. It's Pro Swing in Columbia on Forest Drive. It's just a lot of fun. Just is. I got me a Powerade now that my 74-ounce coffee has been drank. I'm now working on a Powerade. They have beverages available as well. So it's all good. Some golf accessories. It's Pro Swing here in Columbia on Forest Drive. All right, so the baseball game last night, look, again, we were enjoying it. We're celebrating what was just a fun victory. And if you want to say, gee, Tara, is this what this baseball program is now, that you're celebrating just a win over a number one team at home in a lost season? Yeah. Yeah, we are. I'm just going to be straight up with you. And, that's what this season, it's been tough. So, look, when you're going through a bad stretch, even in life, you celebrate your victories no matter how small they are, right? You might have something good happen that typically you don't even blink at, but if you're going through the crap, you celebrate it even more because it's like, yeah, we're going to celebrate a win, baby. And that's kind of what last night was. It's been tough. It's been brutal. It's been rough. It's not acceptable at all. It cannot happen again. But in the awfulness that has been the 2025 baseball season, you got a moment of happiness last night. And we're just saying, look, let's enjoy it. Just flat out enjoy it. We'll enjoy it some more coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. And we'll have Scott Hamilton as well. Also, we're going to re-rack the interview that Wes and Chris did here just a little while ago regarding the big softball regional tilt starting up tonight at 5:30. So that's coming up as well. Football and nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour coming up next, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors on the Game. Halftime show. We are hanging live at Pro Swing in Columbia on Forest Drive. We'll be here all day up until 6 p.m. as we do the halftime show, and the postgame show. Jay and Elijah will follow here on the game. We do nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour. Before we get to it, though, real quick, one of the reasons we are here at Pro Swing is the second major of the year is going on in Charlotte, the PGA Championship. Jonathan Vegas, Johnny Vegas, 9 under. 2 under today, through 13 so far, 9 under. Mathieu Pavon from France is 6 under, 3 back. Pavon was even after round 1 so far. Mathieu has shot 6 under for the day. Max Homa, though, is tearing it up, 7 under for the day. Homa's now 5 under for the tournament, sitting in 3rd place as we speak. So that's where everything's at in Charlotte at the PGA. Jonathan Vegas still leading the way. I believe the Argentinian, Jonathan Vegas, at 9 under par. All right, we are blathering a lot of football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Terry Ford, appreciate you here on the halftime show. David Dare did fine work today. Now our buddy Ed Bird is taking over the controls of the ship back at Mission Control, and he'll take it through the rest of the day here on the game. All right, we looked at the top 100 players in college football yesterday as On3 put out their list. And if you missed it, Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, number 1, not a shocker. Dylan Stewart, South Carolina, number 2, not a shocker. So the top 2 players in college football projected by On3 for this upcoming season, both are sophomores, true sophomores. 2 guys who had excellent freshman seasons. Lenora Sellers checked in on this list at number 8. A redshirt sophomore. Another true sophomore was on this list at number 6, Ryan Williams. And Colin Simmons, a true sophomore from Texas, the Edge, at number 4, also a true sophomore as well. So you've got 4 true sophomore players right there in the top 6. Shows you how good the freshman talent was last year. All right, I want to look at this list, though, in another perspective from quarterbacks. We've discussed how if you have a legit starting quarterback coming back, your program gets looked at a different way to start with. Now, once a deeper dive is done, maybe, people might change their mind, but if you have your quarterback returning, that's a big deal. In the SEC, I think we counted only 5 schools have their quarterbacks returning. And that's it. And, of course, South Carolina, one of the lucky ones with Lenora Sellers. So I thought it would be just an interesting exercise to look at, just go down the top 100 and see how the quarterbacks are rated in college football by Clark Brooks. The top returning quarterback on this list, interesting enough, Sam Leavitt of Arizona State. Now, do I agree with that? I don't know if I agree with it. But this is Clark Brooks' list and not mine. Sam Leavitt by Clark Brooks is ranked as the number 1 returning quarterback in the country. And look, did Leavitt play well at Arizona State last year? Yeah. Cam Sketabo was really the ignition of that offense, but Leavitt did play well. Would I put him as a top returner? I don't know if I'd do that. But Leavitt is the number 1 returning quarterback rated by On3. Lenora Sellers is number 2. Arch Manning is number 3. And the only reason Arch Manning is that high is because his last name's Manning. There's a ton of hype on Arch Manning. If you just go by what Arch Manning did last year, throwing under 100 passes. And look, Arch Manning did some good things last year. Let's not poo-poo that. But Arch Manning being number 3, I feel is a bit high. Should he be on this list? Yeah. But the number 3 returning quarterback, you're doing this by ceiling, right? Because a lot of folks believe Arch Manning is going to tear it up this year. With his talent, his skill set, in a Steve Sarkisian offense, with Steve Sarkisian calling the plays, and all of that talent around him, Arch Manning, in some people's eyes, is almost as close as it can be to a can't miss for this year. So Arch Manning is sitting at number 3. DJ Lagway, number 4 from Florida. I get it. Lagway, of course, is coming back from an injury. I believe it's a shoulder thing. But he started practicing near the end of the spring, and everybody feels like he'll be good to go. So now you'll get DJ Lagway is number 4. And I get that one. I do. Florida really got cooking when Lagway took the controls of that offense last year. Garrett Nussmeier is number 5. You can make an argument that Nussmeier should be ahead of Arch Manning because Nussmeier, a veteran, had an excellent season in 2024. There will be talent around him at LSU. But Nussmeier, right now on this list, is sitting at number 5. The number 6 rated quarterback in these on-3 rankings, Drew Aller at Penn State. Again, maybe he could be a tick higher. Aller improved his deep ball last year, his accuracy throwing deep. Year before, Penn State was scared to have him throw the ball deep. They were petrified. Aller got better throwing the ball down the field. Just became a better quarterback all the way around. He's mobile for his size. NFL people look at Aller like, ready? Looks like a quarterback. But Drew Aller did improve, to be fair to Drew Aller. And he is sitting on this list behind Garrett Nussmeier at number 6. We hit number 7 after Drew Aller. Carson Beck, Miami. Carson Beck ruined a lot of things for Carson Beck last year. Now, look, Georgia did graduate their 2 biggest weapons on offense in the passing game, Bowers and McConkey. But they had talent. It just didn't achieve the level it should have at wide receiver and tight end, to be frank. And part of that was those players just didn't step up. Part of it was Carson Beck. He's not a quarterback that makes guys better around him. Look, you give him talent and you put the pieces around him, he can make things happen like he did 2 years ago. Carson Beck going into last year was looked at as a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and Carson Beck played his way out of the first round, out of the second round, out of the third round, probably out of the fourth round. So Carson Beck came back to college, got roughly $4 million to go play at Miami, which makes perfect sense. Carson Beck's going to make more money at Miami this year than he was going to make in the NFL, being a middle-round pick. So now Carson Beck can go to Miami in an offense that Cam Ward flourished in, and Carson Beck can rebuild his reputation, maybe, and get himself moving back up draft boards while pocketing, roughly $2 million after taxes and fees and whatever else he's got to pay. So Carson Beck is sitting at 7. I'll only go one further. Maybe I'll get to 10. But Cade Klubnik is 8 on this list, which I thought was interesting. After seeing some other lists, Cade Klubnik, the 8th-ranked quarterback on this list at Clemson. And we'll give you an example of him being an 8 surprises me a bit. I thought he'd be higher. John Mateer, number 9 from Oklahoma, the 65th player overall, but 9th quarterback. Mateer's really good. Well, he was really good at Washington State, and he should be really good at Oklahoma. His offensive coordinator is coming with him. And number 10 is interesting, our boy Nico. We'll see. We talked about Nico. At Tennessee, in a very quarterback-friendly offense, it's pretty basic and easy to run. You don't have to do a lot of thinking from the neck up, not a lot of pre-snap stuff. Not a lot of reading through the field a lot, and Nico, let's be honest, struggled. And we'll see what Nico does moving on to UCLA, but Nico struggled in a very quarterback-friendly basic offense last year at Tennessee. Real quick, and this is my mistake, I said there were 5 returning quarterbacks in the SEC. There's 6. My bad. Taylor Green at Arkansas. He is next on the list. Well, after Josh Hoover at TCU, then Taylor Green. So Green has looked at 12th regarding returning quarterbacks. So there's 6 returning quarterbacks in the SEC. I forgot Taylor Green. That is my fault. So there's your quarterback rankings for on 3. Again, Lenore Sellers comes in at number 2. And the reason I bring up Cade Klubnik and how interesting this is, if you look at, and I guess it's one person. All this is just one person's projections and thoughts. Jordan Reed from ESPN.com, former scout and college football player. Reed put together his way too early mock draft for 2026. The number 1 pick for him is Cade Klubnik. ahead of Lenore Sellers, who would then go number 4 overall, be the second quarterback taken. Also ahead of Garrett Nussmeier, who would go number 7. Ahead of Drew Aller, who would go number 8. So you have 4 quarterbacks going in the top 8. Everybody really likes this draft for quarterbacks. But Klubnik, even though he's looked at where he's at in this 1-3 list, which was, 30... Where was he? I lost him. 33rd. Jordan Reed looks at him. He's the first quarterback taken. Number 1 pick in the draft. So just interesting how these things kind of look. Again, one man's opinion, another man's opinion. But just very interesting with the quarterbacks. Again, I think Arch Manning's a bit too high. I think Arch Manning's going to be really good, but it's just a question mark because he hasn't played that much. He has not played anywhere near as much, obviously, as a Garrett Nussmeier, who had a full season of starting last year. Kate Klubnik has got a lot more starts under his belt than Arch Manning. So we'll find out about Arch, but everything is set up for Arch Manning. It's sort of like Caleb Williams in the NFL is Arch Manning at Texas. Everything has been set up for him to be massively successful. Now, will he be? Now we're going to find out. And we're hanging here at Pro Swing, Forest Drive in Columbia, talking just football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Again, back to Pro Swing. A free 30-minute swing analysis you can get from their PGA certified pro here at Pro Swing. Free analysis, free swing analysis. Also, there are golf lessons, whether you are, 3 handicap or if you're a newbie. They have golf lessons for everyone here at Pro Swing. Again, Forest Drive in Columbia. We'll be hanging here all day long on the game. Doing nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. We had over-unders we looked at yesterday, just really regarding the SEC, and South Carolina was at 7.5, and we had that conversation yesterday. I think they'll go over that. I think because I could see them easily being an 8-win team. I buy into Sellers. I buy into Dylan Stewart. I buy into I think Shane has found the road after what he learned from the 5-7 season. I think they have a lot of talent. It just has to be developed. And guys have to step up and be next man up. But I think South Carolina can be an 8-win team. I would take over the 7.5 number if it were me. But they're at 7.5. We're going to look at it. A few teams I was really surprised what their over-unders were outside the SEC. We'll get to that next as we yap football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Terry Ford, Ed Bird back punching the buttons at the command center. We go till 3 here on the game. We're just yapping nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on The Game. Terry Ford, appreciate you hanging out. Ed Bird back punching the buttons at the command center. You know, the over-unders came out from Vegas yesterday, and we've been yipping about those a ton. And I want to look at a different perspective today of just some of these that, not like, wow, I'm so shocked, but just are interesting to me. For an example, we talked about Bill Belichick last hour going on Good Morning America, and we've been so busy yapping about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend 50 years younger than him, and, you know, and her meddling in places in his life that we're like, really? That's odd. But North Carolina in the over-under is 7.5. With all that turnover and all that, you know, going from Mac Brown to Bill Belichick, the turnover of the roster, and if you look at some of the guys Bill is bringing in, it's not like you go, oh, wow, that guy's talented, oh, wow, that guy's talented. But Bill's at 7.5 at North Carolina to start the year. I mean, which is better than what, a little bit better than what Mac Brown had going on last year. But we'll see what happens with Bill. And we'll see how year one goes in Chapel Hill. So I was a little surprised with it being that high. So that was one that caught my eye. Another one, Oklahoma State. Going into last year, Oklahoma State was looked at as one of the favorites in the Big 12. Early in the year, Oklahoma State had a big win over Arkansas at home. Crazy game. And then Oklahoma State decided they were going to soil themselves the entire season. Worst year Mike Gundy has had since he started. Nobody saw that coming. Gundy took a bit of a pay cut. It just was very, very, very weird what went on at Oklahoma State last year. Because Mike Gundy, look, you can say Mike Gundy can't win the big game, can't get to the big stage. I get that. I'm not going to argue with it. Nobody looks at Mike Gundy as a triple-A level head coach, but he's good. Oklahoma State's been year in, year out a winning team, a winning program. They've played in New Year's type bowl games. You know, they've sniffed around getting to big games. They just couldn't ever seal the deal. But last year was a disaster in Stillwater. A disaster. And Vegas this year only has Oklahoma State at 5 wins. I'll say this. Mike Gundy has built up a lot of goodwill at Oklahoma State because his record speaks for itself. But if Oklahoma State has a 5-win season, I don't know if Mike Gundy comes back for 2026. Because there is a lot of money spent at Oklahoma State. And if Mike Gundy, and I just pulled up the record in front of me. Last year, that 3-9. I mean, if you win 5 games, that's better, but still, that's not what people are looking for. And in 2022, Oklahoma State went 7-6, but bounced back and went and rolled to a 10-4, and ended the year ranked. But Mike Gundy, if you look through that career before last year, the last time Mike Gundy had a losing season at Oklahoma State was his first year in 2005. That was also a streak of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, almost 20 straight bowl games for Gundy. Look, there were like three straight years of double-digit victories. 4 out of 5 years where Gundy won double-digit games. Had a 12-1 season where he finished the year number 3 in the country. Gundy has had success. As late as 2021, Oklahoma State won the Fiesta Bowl and finished in the top 10. But you look at 2022, 7-6. 2023, 10-4. But the Texas Bowl, not to be mean. Then a 3-9. If you put a 5-win season, Mike Gundy might be gone. How much goodwill have you built up, and then all of a sudden you're going, what, 20, let's say, okay, so that's what, 20 and 19 for 3 years. Now you're 25 and 26 or 27 or something. Then all of a sudden you've had a losing record over the last, 4 years? In our world of college football today, with everything that's at stake, and it's such a business, Mike Gundy could be in trouble if they actually hit that over-under of 5. The other team I thought was interesting, Rich Rod's first year at West Virginia. West Virginia's at 5, and they're over-under. West Virginia's not a terrible program under Neil Brown the last couple of years. Remember, 2 years ago, Neil Brown saved his job by having a really good season. Then last year, West Virginia was kind of mediocre. Neil Brown was saying some kind of kooky stuff out loud in front of microphones. And now Neil Brown's the ex-head coach at West Virginia. Rich Rod comes in, and the over-under is only 5. I mean, in a wide-open Big 12, could Rich Rod do better than 5? Yeah, I think so. Rich Rodriguez will win at West Virginia. To what level? I don't know. Will be the level of where Rich Rod won before, and West Virginia was on the cusp of playing for a national championship. I don't know if Rodriguez can get it back to that level. But again, the Big 12's wide open. So Rich Rod can at least compete for Big 12 championships and college football playoff berths. But I thought 5 for a first year of Rich Rodriguez I was like, okay. We'll see. He could probably do better. I would take, in these 3 instances, for North Carolina 7.5, I'll take the under. I'm not saying Bill's not going to be a good college football coach. I just don't know what's going to happen in year 1. Oklahoma State to 5, I'll take the over. I think Mike Gundy bounces back. I don't say bounces back like wow, but I think Oklahoma State will bounce back, get 6-7 wins, go to a bowl game. West Virginia, I'm going to go over the 5 too. I just think Rich Rodriguez, if nothing else, will pull 6 wins and go to a bowl game. So I'll go under the 7.5 for North Carolina and over the number for Oklahoma State and West Virginia. Which means, right now as we speak, Rich Rodriguez and Mike Gundy are shaking their head going, thanks for the kiss of death, Ford. We know how good you are at predicting stuff through Vegas. Thank you so much. All right, we are doing nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on The Game. Live from Pro Swing Golf, Forest Drive in Columbia. If you feel like playing around, you call, you set up your appointment, you come in, you have at it. You have fun, pick your course. Well, no matter what level of golf you are, whether you're super serious, you're a scratch golfer, or you want to get better, you want to get really good at it, or you just want to play and have fun, Pro Swing is here for you. So just set it up and come on out and have a good time. If you want to get lessons, they have lessons available whether you're a scratch golfer or you're just a beginner. And if you want to get your swing analyzed, they will give you a free 30-minute swing analysis from a PGA certified coach. So again, we are here all day till 6 p.m. at Pro Swing. We're doing nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Terry Ford, Ed Bird, making sure we don't go off the air here on The Game. Oh, what we're talking about is nothing but football. Well, mostly. Here in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors right now at the PGA Championship. Johnny Vegas. Jonathan Vegas leads the way. He's got this thing cooking, too, to his old Johnny. 10 under, 3 under for the day. 4-stroke lead. None of the big dogs are in. The one big dog, Bryson DeChambeau, at 4 under. He's gone 4 under today, sitting tied for 7th. Besides that, a lot of the big dogs are nowhere to be found. Scotty Scheffler at 2 under. That's really it at this point. So, feels like unless DeChambeau or Scheffler make a charge, you most likely will have a first-timer winning the PGA Championship. Very interesting. All right, back to football. Flip over to the pro game real quick. Something compelling is happening in a couple different spots about stadiums. We'll start in Missouri. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs are a religion in Kansas City. They have won 3 Super Bowls, been to 5 since Patrick Mahomes has taken over as a starting quarterback. But they might be playing their NFL games across the border in Kansas. Follow me here. From Matt Evans at KMBC, the Missouri Senate ended its annual session on Wednesday without taking action on a bill to fund the renovations of Arrowhead Stadium and to build a new stadium for the baseball Kansas City Royals. The House of Representatives, the State House of Representatives in Missouri passed a stadium funding bill earlier in the week. The plan would pay for up to half of the stadium costs for the projects through state-issued bonds. The measure stalled in the Senate. A special session is still possible. Unless Missouri comes up with something, the Chiefs and the Royals likely will cross the border to the state of Kansas. Chiefs' current lease expires after the 2030 season. But here's the other twist to this thing. Last year, Jackson County, Missouri voters overwhelmingly rejected the extension of an existing sales tax to pay for a renovated Chiefs Stadium or a new Royals ballpark. So voters voted this down, but now the politicians have pushed a bill to fund the renovation through, once again, state-issued bonds. And look, at the end of the day, do I think bazillionaires should foot the bill for stadiums or most of the bill for stadiums? Yes. Do I think taxpayers, should they pay? No. They shouldn't. But that's not the reality here. Cities and fan bases and counties are held hostage because if you don't have a fancy new modern stadium to where the owner of the professional sports franchise can find every revenue stream possible, then you get the threat they'll move. The stadium matters. You want to keep a franchise, get a new fancy stadium. You look at baseball real quick. The teams that move or threatening to move. Oakland is moving. Ballpark in Oakland, the A's are moving. The ballpark in Oakland was a dump. The Rays are talked about moving. Why? The ballpark in Tampa is a dump. Teams that move are because of stadiums. Flat out. Look at the NFL. Why are the Chargers no longer in San Diego? Stadium. The stadium thing matters, man. The Kansas City Chiefs, if this thing doesn't get done, I mean, they'll move across the border to Kansas. It's not like the end of the world. It's not like they're moving, to Rio de Janeiro. But it's just, this is the reality of this. The stadium matters. If you have a fancy new bright shiny stadium and your attendance stinks, you're not going to move. It's not the attendance that matters, it's the stadium. We've seen it. In St. Louis, Stan Kroenke, a Missouri kid born and raised, couldn't wait to screw over St. Louis to get out of St. Louis to get to L.A., to the number 2 media market in the country, to build a fancy, cool stadium. But by the way, to his credit, he paid for it. But that's the thing. It's all about stadiums, man. In the NFL, you don't build a stadium that's up to modern spec or take your stadium and renovate it to modern spec, you got problems. You really do. Now, again, what's more important? Education, infrastructure, roads, quality of life of your citizens and constituents. But if you want to keep a professional sports franchise, you better have the place they play all fancy and shiny. And here's another example of it. It's craziness. Just flat out craziness. As we talk football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on The Game. The Caleb Williams thing came out yesterday. We kind of took a different path on it yesterday about Caleb Williams. We were mostly looking at the fact that the family of Caleb Williams, specifically his dad and Caleb, there was a lot of talk that they did not want to get drafted by the Bears because, according to the family, and really it's not according to the family, it's historical fact, quarterbacks, Chicago is a place where quarterbacks' careers go to die. They just do. The quarterback situation in Chicago has been terrible forever. I mean, Jay Cutler is probably the best quarterback the Bears have had in a long time. Jim McMahon. I mean, Cutler had a ton of talent. It just was a head case. McMahon didn't have anywhere near the talent of Cutler, but McMahon was a leader and was a guy that made big plays on the field when you need them to be made. But all the off-the-field stuff McMahon did, that career was never going to go, like, super long. But the Bears, basically, there's not a lineage of great quarterbacking. The last great quarterback the Bears had, and I'm not kidding, is Sid Luckman. Back in the 40s. So, I get the Williams family not wanting to go to Chicago. And they were looking at different ways to maybe leverage a trade, go to the UFL, whatever. And I understand. Now, this is the reason this is out in public is because Seth Wickersham, a phenomenal writer, is putting out a book about quarterbacks, NFL quarterbacks, college quarterbacks, high school quarterbacks. It's basically about quarterbacks. And Caleb Williams, before the draft, is being focused on in this book. And, I mean, that regime, the Matt Eberflus regime, is gone. All those coaches are gone. Ben Johnson's now there, who is a offensive genius and a quarterback whisperer and guru and all that other stuff. So all of the people that the Williams family were concerned about are gone. But you know what is not gone? The Chicago Bears' history of screwing up quarterbacks. Can Ben Johnson be different? You hope, if you're a Bears fan, if you're Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams' family. But the Bears have been the Bears, no matter who the coach is. And I guess my thing is, do I like the idea of the number 1 overall pick leveraging their way to another team? I don't like it. But in life, I say use your leverage when you got it. Use your juice. I think the draft's the draft, and it's built to help bad teams. But sometimes bad teams, the reason they're bad is their ownership stinks. Their culture stinks, their infrastructure stinks, and their team continually stinks. And I understand if you're the number 1 pick overall in the draft, you know who's got the first pick, and they're on the clock, and you don't want them to take you because of all those things we just said. I understand trying to play your leverage. I don't like it, but I understand it. Because if I was sitting in those shoes, I'd probably play my leverage, too, to see if I could get out of going to an abysmal franchise where I have no hope of success, and they'll probably kill my career. But here's my thing. There are still Chicago Bears on that team from last year. Now you hear about this stuff with Caleb Williams. How many guys are sitting there staring at him, giving him the stink eye? Going, dude, you all live in Chicago? You want to be a Bear? You really want to be here? Okay. Prove it. And like if I was in the locker room, I wouldn't think that way because I would totally understand why Caleb Williams and his family would not want to play for the Bears. I would, but I guess I would be questioning Caleb Williams if his work ethic isn't what it needs to be. You know, first guy in, last guy out. Watching tons and tons of film until his eyeballs explode. Being a leader on and off the field, being a grinder, a hard worker, being like a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes, being like those guys who are going as far as humanly possible to make themselves as good as they can be, not just on the field, but off the field, in the film room, in the weight room, everywhere. Is Caleb Williams doing all those things? If he is, you shouldn't have a problem with him and what he said in this book. But if he's not, then maybe you are taking a look at him like, so is this your bag, bub? But you just didn't want all that getting out if you're the Williams family or if you're Caleb Williams. That's just me. All right, so we continue on with football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. Live from Pro Swing Golf, Forest Drive in Columbia. Historic moment today here at Pro Swing. Our crack account executive, Dreamy Josh Yellman, LL Cool Josh, after about 17,422 swings, finally nailed a hole-in-one on the 7th at Pebble Beach. You're saying, Terry, why is that important to me? Well, because Elijah Campbell, in a group text with Josh said, hey, if I pop a hole-in-one, Elijah, will you'll shave your beard, right? Elijah didn't come back with a no. So technically, if you didn't say no, you're saying yes. So we might actually have Elijah Campbell shaving his beard on the air and on our video stream. We will talk with Elijah about that when he gets here in a little while to Pro Swing. We did text Elijah and I to keep you caught up. I said, Josh nailed a hole-in-one. You shaving that beard? I guess, but I'm dragging my feet on it. So we'll see what happens. But exciting goings on here at Pro Swing on Forest Drive in Columbia. I will continue yapping football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors on the game. We'll get your Firehouse sub text the hour next at 803-404-6100. It is the halftime show with Terry Ford out at Pro Swing. Ed Bird back at Mission Control, keeping us on the air. We're going until 3 here on the game. Get our Firehouse up. Text the hour in real quick at 803-404-6100. Texter, anonymous, it's an interesting point. It's like you were going over the projected 2026 way too early NFL mock draft. I noticed that neither Sam Levitt or Arch Manning were in the first round draft. You had the other 4 quarterbacks, but not those two. Sam Levitt, his first year at Michigan State, he played 4 games. So I guess he could redshirt. So last year he was a redshirt freshman, if my mind is correct. So typically he really would have, this year will be his second year. And so I don't think he'd be draft eligible until 2027. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. That's my first thought about Levitt. With Arch Manning, I agree with Jordan Reed on this. Look, I said this when we were going over this list earlier. I think Arch Manning's going to have a hell of a year. I really do. Everything is set up for him to succeed. Everything. And what you did see from him last year, look, he was a better thrower of the football than Quinn Ewers last season. He just was. Eye test, the stats, the breakdown, if you want to go a little analytic, Arch Manning threw the football better than Quinn Ewers. Also, Arch Manning is mobile. He can do damage with his legs. He's going to have a lot of talent around him, and he's got a heck of an offensive football mind as a head coach in Steve Sarkisian. He is set up for success. And his last name's Manning, for the love of God. So he's set up for success. But Jordan Reed did not put him in this draft because the guy's thrown 90 passes. He threw 90 passes last year. He's thrown less than 120 passes in his college career. There is no guarantee that Arch Manning is going to go nuts, go crazy, tear it up, and move on to the NFL draft. If Arch Manning would have had a full season last year starting at Texas and would have played really well, he would absolutely be, he'd be number 1 pick overall in the projection of a 2026 mock draft. But that's why, my thought, Levitt and Manning aren't in that mock draft. Appreciate the text like always, 803-404-6100. All right, coming up on what's trending at 2 here on the game. Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell did a little conversation with South Carolina softball coach Ashley Chastain Woodward. And Woodward talked with about 12, 13 minutes. Did Chastain Woodward talk? Wes and Kristen. In case you missed it, we'll re-rack it. Because, again, later on this afternoon, 5:30, the softball regional starts in Columbia, South Carolina hosting. The thought process is Gamecocks should get to the final of the regional, where if we're going chalk, would play a Virginia team that, again, those two had 2 really close games earlier this year. So we will hear Wes and Chris's conversation with Ashley Chastain Woodward at top of the hour, 2 o'clock. 2:15, our buddy Scott Hamilton, columnist for the Post and Courier, will hop on, and we'll just yap a bunch of different things with Scott Hamilton. So that's coming up in what's trending at 2 as well. All right, circling back to football here in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. You know, it's interesting when we talk about the Sanders clan. Shedeur got obviously all the publicity for what happened at the draft. Shiloh is with the Buccaneers. Yeah, competing for a roster spot. Shiloh not taking the draft. And he'll go try to make his way as an undrafted rookie free agent. And that wasn't a surprise to anyone. Shedeur falling to the 5th round, we get it, we got it, we've talked about it, right? But Shiloh, he's an undrafted rookie free agent trying to hook on with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we talked about Pete Carroll earlier, being the new head coach in Vegas. And there's been a lot of questions about the Raiders. How much is Tom Brady involved? Brady, obviously, a minority owner. And Lloyd Christmas, the owner of the Raiders, Mark Davis, slipped again. Oh, my bad. Has said Tom Brady is going to be involved in the football side of the operation in whatever way Tom Brady wants to be involved. Well, Pete Carroll, the new head coach, says Brady is rarely at the facility but has a significant role with the football team. So, I mean, can Brady turn around decades of dysfunction with the Raiders? Because, there's no... And we've seen so many great players be terrible coaches, terrible GMs, terrible executives in general in the sport they excelled at. Yeah, who knows? I mean, does Tom just sit in an office and eat avocados? I have no idea. No idea. But he will have a significant role according to Pete Carroll. But what's Pete Carroll going to say? Pete Carroll going to go, this dude's just a figurehead, just put his name on the ownership papers just so, he can come in here and act like an owner, and Mark Davis can have some kind of owner with celebrity. And it feels like they want Tom Brady to be a real voice in the organization. Now, how much was Brady a voice in the hiring of Pete Carroll? I don't know. I think Pete Carroll's a good hire. I've said this. I think Pete Carroll's a good hire because he knows how to build winning. He built winning at Southern Cal, built winning in Seattle. Those Patriot teams, when he was the head coach, he wasn't really building them. But they were a little bit better than average, but not great. And that's why Pete Carroll got let go. But Pete Carroll, once he got to Southern Cal, became a program builder. I think he will, if Mark Davis doesn't meddle and can stay out of the way and give Carroll the tools, Pete Carroll will build a winner in Vegas, is my thought. All right, up next, we will hear Wes and Chris with their interview with Ashley Chastain Woodard next, right here on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford, Ed Bird on the game. All right, the Nest, we talk about it all the time. In the Vista on Gadsden, this is a place you need to call and go to and look at. If you want to redo the kitchen, new appliances, new fixtures, new lighting, new bathroom, new plumbing. If you want to do any of these things to your home to make it pop, or to have your home be what you want it to be, whether it's the vision, the comfort, whatever it is, you call 803-978-2025. You go in, you call, set an appointment with an expert in the field of what you want to do. They will sit down with you, go over all your ideas. They will then walk you through the vast, ridiculously crazy, beautiful showroom at the Nest. And they will then sit down and put together your vision and what you want for your home. Again, it's the Nest. Just make the phone call, 803-978-2025. Make your home pop. Go to the Nest. Live from Pro Swing on Forest Drive in Columbia. We are hanging here till 6 p.m. Halftime show goes till 3. The postgame show with Jay and Elijah coming up here on the game. Our boy Johnny Vegas still leading the way at the PGA Championship. Right now shooting a 10 under in round 2. All right, earlier today during the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell talked with Gamecock softball coach Ashley Chastain Woodard, getting ready to start their journey through the NCAA tournament. They're hosting the regional here in Columbia. Everything starts with Elon at 5:30 later this afternoon. Here is Wes and Chris talking with Ashley Chastain Woodard. Starting off with, how's it feel to wake up knowing today you're going to be hosting the regional for the first time here in Columbia?
It's an exciting day for us, and I'm already at the stadium, and the kids have already come and hit, and they're going over to get a pregame lift in, so the day has already been moving.
Yeah, we appreciate you making the time. I know there's a lot going on over there. Excited for you and your program today. So how do you maybe walk the line in your messaging to the team about just enjoying the stage you all have this weekend, while also from a performance standpoint not making it too big and just kind of just playing the game they love and not maybe thinking about the platform too much?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what we've been preaching all year, so I don't know if much of our messaging changes. I think that they just need to stay in our 5:30 game today against Elon and not think ahead. And we've been really trying to do that through series in SEC play through the year. So I think we're really prepared. I think we're prepared with our mindset. I think we're prepared physically. I think we're also really prepared for the atmosphere, because we have played in super regional feel atmospheres and matchups all year. So I hope that they walk into today feeling really confident and free and having a lot of fun, and just excited to play in front of our home fans, because we have the home field advantage this weekend.
Coach, it's Chris. Thanks for taking the time, especially on game day, to join us here. And again, not trying to get too far ahead, right? Y'all have to take care of business, throughout the course of this regional. But your team was able to earn a national seed, and so obviously that means should you win this regional, you'll be able to host in the next round. Like you said, you've got the home field advantage. Your team's been great at home, 31-5 overall, I think, this year. What does that mean, and how big of an advantage do you think it is? Again, got to get through this weekend, but just to be able to potentially host in the next round as opposed to hitting the road and going to California.
I think it's huge. I think if you do the statistics, I think around 75% of teams that host end up making it to the next stage. So, I think the advantage is definitely in our favor with just being familiar with the territory and the fan base and, just kind of being able to stay at home and in our routine all week and this weekend. So, and then for us to be able to have the potential of hosting the Super and not having to cross over 3 time zones next week on an airplane, it's just a massive advantage that we don't have to adjust the time and the travel, and we can just really focus on our routine here and our process here and have really good practice. And so I don't think that I can put into words the advantage that we have. Now obviously we have to capitalize that, and we have to play really well. I think this time of the year, it's about having fun, resetting. Postseason, you kind of feel like you go back 0-0 with your win-loss record because everything starts over. And but I do think we have to play well. We have to pitch well. We have to get back to playing really great defense, which we have all year. And have some timely hits with runners on. I think we're going to definitely have to play well all weekend.
Coach, not to give away your game plan by any means, but can you give us a little insight on how you set up your pitching, at least internally when you and the staff are having these conversations? Regionals are kind of unique. If things go to plan, you just win 3, and it's just like a weekend series for you. You drop 1, and all of a sudden things get very different very quickly. How do you kind of approach that internally and just in terms of having a plan for every contingency, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely want to put this one tonight in our pocket. We talk a lot about that in the series is, put the first one in your pocket and, then you have an opportunity to win the series on day 2. So it is a series feel if we stay in the winner's bracket, having different opponents, through that series. But I think from a pitching standpoint for us, we're going to have to see good performances from Lamb and Hurd. And I feel really confident about both of those guys. I think they're both in a good spot. I think Neely threw really well. I think she threw like 4.2, almost 5 innings against Alabama here at home 2 weeks ago when we finished regular season. So we really want to build off of that performance with her. And Jory looked really good game 1 against Alabama in the SEC tournament. So obviously, we want really good performances for those guys so that we can use Gress strategically. We're not in a position to where Gress can throw every game, every inning for us the rest of the way if we're going to make it to Oklahoma. So I think a key piece of our success specifically is just making sure that we put Neely Lamb and Jory Hurd in positions to be successful, and we really rely and trust them to have good outings for us this weekend.
Coach, you mentioned the defense that your team has played this year, which has been obviously outstanding. But whenever there is a moment or maybe one particular game where just some things don't go quite as well as they have for the rest of the season, maybe the game against A&M, for instance, in the SEC tournament, what's kind of the message to the team? Do you just shelve it? Is there anything extra you do in practice? Do you just kind of chalk it up to that softball and go play the next day and just kind of do what we've done all year? How do you handle that, especially, going into the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think our style is not necessarily just to chalk it up to softball. I think there's many different coaching styles and the way that you run your program, and not one way works. But for us, I think we definitely had conversation about our performance against A&M to finish the SEC tournament. We haven't really had a performance like that since early in the year. Actually, against Virginia, to start the year, I think was the last game we'd made 5 errors. And we've had a few performances throughout the year. We have a long season, but, we did not play super well on defense, and a lot of those games were losses for us. So I think we evaluated the performance. We really talked through it with the girls on, how did we get to that place. I think it was kind of a snowball effect. I think that we made a few mistakes that we let snowballed into bigger mistakes, and kind of we never stopped the snowball from getting bigger. And eventually, you have to put a stop to it and say we're gonna stop the damage, we're gonna stop the negative plays, and flip the script. And we just didn't do that against A&M. So our conversation is mostly mental when it comes to things like that. Of okay, where did our mentality break down? Because we obviously believe the mentality kind of turns physical in those moments. And then from a physical standpoint, you just get a lot of reps in. I think that's the best thing you can do for them. Let's say if your infield doesn't play well for a game, I think the best thing to do is just to get them back on the field, giving them a lot of reps, kind of feeding their confidence that, hey, we are a really good defense and we've been elite all year.
Coach, I know it's easy for fans to maybe get caught up when you see a regional announced with, all right, Virginia is the other, the 2 seed. Statistically, that's kind of who you're going to battle in this thing. But Elon tonight obviously is the first step. What can you tell us just in terms of your scout of what we should be looking for in this matchup tonight?
Yeah, they won, I think, 33 games this year. They know how to win. They did well in their conference and obviously won their conference tournament. So coming off of a really hot performance for the Colonial tournament, I think there's 2 hitters in the lineup with double-digit home runs. So obviously we've got a couple hitters just to make sure that they aren't the ones that, would beat us in an inning or in a situation to score multiple runs or anything like that. Just kind of trying to mitigate damage with a few of their hitters that have the RBI numbers and the power numbers, which is nothing new for us because we just came off of an SEC regular season where you have to really do that 1 through 9 in the order. So I think we need to be efficient with the hitters that we need to be efficient with, and then obviously really smart with the couple hitters that could score runs for them. I think flipping it to their pitching, they have an ace, McCard, and she has a sub-2 ERA. I obviously don't know who we will face tonight. We're a little different than baseball. We don't usually get the starter until 30 minutes before the game starts, so we kind of have to prepare for multiple predictions on who we think will start the game. And then if you look past her, they have 6 or 7 pitchers that pitch a lot. So they're kind of all even in usage. And so that was the kind of tricky part for us this week, is just making sure that we showed a look on multiple arms that we think we could face tonight against Elon. So back to their offense, I didn't mention this. They're pretty aggressive. And so I think, for us just coming out of the dugout in the top of the first, being really intentional about having the momentum. We know that their offense is aggressive. They're going to swing. They're going to put the ball in play. So I think that's a little different than some of the offenses that we've faced the last couple of weeks that have been more passive category. I mean, this offense is pretty aggressive when it comes to swing rates. So, just making sure we're ready for that. We're ready from the first pitch that's thrown, that we're going to play really good defense and be efficient in the circle.
Coach, I mean, we could pick any of your players to be a key person for this weekend, but I believe from what I've read, and maybe this applies more to Virginia than anything, but maybe there's some teams in the regional that are going to try to run the bases a little bit. They're going to try to be aggressive in terms of, stealing bases. How important, I know she's always important for you all, but how important is it for Lexi Winters to just have a great weekend for you all this weekend?
It's key. I mean, she's our backbone. She's thrown out runners all year, some of the fastest runners in the SEC, so I'm not worried about her throwing out the runners that we have in town this weekend. I think she'll be ready for it. She's just really good at this point. She's a veteran. She knows how to manage the game. We've worked really hard this week of balancing some recovery for Lexi Winters, and then also getting her enough reps to where she feels prepared, because she has caught so much for us. And so I think overall she feels prepared, but also fresher than she did at the SEC tournament last week. Catching is a super physical position. So I think she feels really good physically. I think mentally, she's in a great place, and I think she'll be prepared to throw out anybody that runs on her. And, we'll just make sure that we're on time for the base, and our middles put down good tags, which they have all year. So really excited to watch them perform. But she is our backbone, and she's definitely always a key piece of us winning.
Coach, we got a couple minutes here till we got a hard break. So why don't you just, if you want, take a moment, tell the fans who are maybe thinking about coming out tonight or this weekend but haven't bought their tickets yet, what are they going to see from your Gamecock program this weekend? And I know you'd love to maybe make some new Gamecock fans if they're in town and thinking about coming out and checking you guys out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest stage in college softball, and I think that we are going to feed off of the energy of the crowd. We have done that all year. So it's going to be an awesome atmosphere. We're almost at sellout capacity, so I think it's going to be a really big crowd. It's going to be a lot of people, a lot of white towels, a lot of sandstorm. It's going to be a lot of fun. So bring your kids, bring your family. It's a great atmosphere for families, and it's going to be really great performance on the field. It's some of the best softball in the country, and we would love to have everyone out at Beckham.
Coach, great stuff as always. We can't thank you enough. Wish you all the luck this weekend. Go get those 3 wins, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
All right, she is South Carolina softball coach Ashley Chastain Woodard. Gamecocks taking on Elon tonight, 5:30, game 1 of that regional. If you heard her, they're almost sold out. So if you've been thinking about it, go ahead, buy those tickets, get out there and check them out.
That is West Mitchell Chris Clark from Gamecock Central's conversation with softball coach Ashley Chastain Woodard. Of course, against South Carolina, they get it rolling later on today, 5:30 against Elon in the NCAAs. All right, South Carolina baseball tonight, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Mr. Anderson takes the ball for LSU, one of the best lefties in college baseball, going up against South Carolina's lefty Jake McCoy. Again, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Game 3 will have Anthony Eason, who is a top 50 prospect in the MLB draft, going up against TBA for South Carolina. Going back to Anderson for LSU, he is looked at as one of the 3 elite lefties in the draft, and he could go in the top 10. So these are the kind of pitchers South Carolina's facing in the next 2 days. Good news is you got to win in your pocket. You got to win in your pocket after last night. All right, Scott Hamilton for the Post and Courier. We will talk to Scott about Gamecock baseball, PGA Championship, and more next on the halftime show on the game. Oh, time to yap with our buddy Scott Hamilton from the Post and Courier as we do the halftime show live from Pro Swing in Columbia on Forest Drive. All right, so you wrote for Golf Digest. You hang out at all these golf courses, Hamilton. Do you play golf at all?
I do play golf. I've been on a hiatus, but I'm starting back. But I used to play 3 times a week.
So what has your hiatus been, 10 years, 15 years?
I'm sorry? My hiatus? Off and on. I started really slowing down about 7, 8, 9 years ago, and then pretty much stopped it a couple of years ago, but I've cranked back up.
Have you cranked back up? So how is the cranking back up going?
It's okay. I mean, you have realistic expectations. I was never a good golfer. I mean, I never broke 80. The best score I ever shot was an 81. But it was at Pioneers number 2, so that wasn't too bad. And I did it without a driver.
Nice.
But I was about a 9.5.
I once shot a 74 on the front nine. On the front nine.
Oh, on the front nine.
That felt pretty good. All right. Are you in Charlotte right now? You got to be, because you're always at these things.
I am in the media center right now. Just came in from following some guys.
All right. Better food in Charlotte at the PGA or at Augusta at the Masters?
Augusta.
Okay. Just checking on you.
I mean, that's no disrespect, but it's an entirely different setup, entirely different world, man. I mean, it's Augusta.
Out of all the golfing venues you go to, is Augusta the best food?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because it's the most thought out, most consistent. Same facility. It's not a temporary facility or having food brought in. Because, you got to think about it. The rest of these major championships, everything is catered in from somewhere else, and the locations change. Now, are you talking about regular tournaments like the Heritage or the Wyndham?
No, I'm talking about everything. Yeah, regular, majors, whatever, man. Is that the best spread? Is it Augusta?
I will say that, but to me, but I will also say Riviera, the Genesis, the food there is pretty strong too in California.
No, I can believe that. Absolutely. All right, Scott Hamilton with us, Post and Courier. All right, before we get more to the PGA, obviously, little things going on here with the baseball program. Obviously, a nice big win last night made everybody happy, taking out number 1 in LSU at Founders. But this has been a huge disappointment of a season. And obviously, there are decisions that have to be made in the offseason. Coach has said he was coming back, but that's not his final choice. Obviously, the final decision is made by the athletic director, Jeremiah Donati. You got any gauge of what's going to happen once we get to the offseason for Carolina baseball?
If you're a coach and you have a $5 million buyout, are you going to say otherwise?
Exactly. Thank you. Of course you're not.
I'm going to make you fire me, or I'm going to let you keep my job. So, I mean, I read nothing into it. And, look, I've got to know Jeremiah Donati a little bit. We've seen him work professionally. Also, he's a thoughtful guy. He's an extremely thoughtful guy, and he's exactly what that athletic department needs as it gets deeper into the 21st century. And I have to think that, and it's not a cliche, Terry, and you'll agree with me on this, he wants his own guy. It's not working. I mean, it would be different if he was taking over a disaster, if Maneri had taken over a disaster, but he didn't take over a disaster. That program was in pretty good shape. The change was made because they have elite expectations, and they weren't meeting elite expectations, but they were good. There are a lot of schools around the country, man, that would like to have been in the shape South Carolina was in after last baseball season. But the shape it's in right now, that's an embarrassment. That's an embarrassment to the university. It's an embarrassment to the state. And if I'm Paul Maneri, and I have a legacy that includes a College World Series title, I'm probably already plotting a graceful exit where I can keep my pride, but I can also spare the school a really, really tough time financially and image-wise. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, because, I mean, look, man, to make this move and to bring in a new coaching staff, all that combined is like $14-16 million, Scott. That's a huge, huge bunch of checks you got to write, man.
That's a lot of money, man. And think about what you can do with that money. I mean, you can scatter that thing into a lot of different areas across the university, but especially the athletic department. I'm hoping Maneri does the right thing. I mean, I know it's a lot of cash, but maybe he can work out some kind of arrangement where it's paid in an annuity or something. It's deferred payments or whatever, where he gets his money, but he doesn't put the school in a bind.
You do that Bobby Bonilla thing.
Yeah, well,
check
you
for
know,
years.
Yeah, if he wasn't older, that would work great. But
Yeah, that's
he's an
true.
older
Good point.
dude.
Good point.
So I don't know. I mean, $5 million spread out over 6 years isn't that deep when you think about it for an athletic department in the Southeastern Conference. And it's not going to be athletic department money. It's going to be booster money. But that's booster money that can be directed towards NIL or something else.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Scott Hamilton hanging out with us from the Post and Courier. All right, now we'll get to the golf. You're hanging out at the PGA. You wrote a very interesting piece on the Post and Courier about why we're seeing a no-name PGA Championship leaderboard. Discuss, if no one has read your excellent article where you spelled all the words right for a change.
I did. I was so proud I spelled all the words correctly. It's on postingcourier.com. And it's just, they didn't play about 13 hours before the first group went out. The PGA of America, the organization that runs PGA Championship, sent out an email saying no preferred lies, that the course was going to be suitable for playing the ball where it lays despite all the rain. I mean, think about how much rain we've gotten over the last 5 days. I mean, it's been something else. And it didn't work out quite that way. And it ended up impacting the premier group that not only the tournament had hung its hat on, but the television networks that broadcast the event and stream this event. I mean, when you have the top 3 golfers in the world, literally top 3 ranked golfers in the world, and each of them make double bogey on the same hole because they have mud balls, you are cutting yourself off at the knees. And what you're doing is you're muffling the anticipation for this event. This has been the most anticipated PGA Championship I can remember, honestly, for myriad reasons. I mean, you have the drama at Augusta with Rory coming back. You have Jordan Spieth possibly, if he were to play well this week, securing the career Grand Slam, which we've been waiting on for 10 years. It's just all the great golfers are on heaters playing their best golf. I mean, expectations for this were sky high. But what we ended up getting was a leaderboard. I mean, I haven't seen this many names without faces since the last time I picked up a phone book, Terry. I mean, honestly, it's shocking. And this is a major that, like it or not, is always relegated to 4th in the major rankings, major rotation, even if that's not where it is on the calendar anymore. It doesn't have, the panache of the Masters. It's not the national championship like the U.S. Open, and it's not ancient and revered like the Open Championship, the British Open. It's the PGA Championship, and it's cutting itself off on the knees by providing leaderboards such as this.
To your point, the only quote-unquote big name even hanging out in the top 15 is Bryson DeChambeau at this point.
Yeah, but he's a live golfer now, and what we looked at yesterday, no top 10 golfers on the top of the leaderboard. I mean, it is just blah, and people don't tune in for blah. People don't tune in when you have to Google the names of everybody. Maybe one guy, if you get a Michael Block like a couple of years ago who's playing in a final group with dudes but not when, who, and I'm just going to throw out some names right now, like Ryan Gerard. I know who he is because I follow golf, but does the average golfer, the casual golfer who tunes in mainly for the major championships, does he know who he is? And is it going to be in the Google's attention?
I had to Google him. Yes.
Exactly.
But
Googled him.
Yes, but how cool is it if Johnny Vegas wins the PGA Championship?
I don't know. How cool is it?
I don't know. The name's fun.
The name is great. He's got game. It's fun. It's only cool if he wins more. Because we've had, think about Ben Curtis. Mm-hmm. Think about Todd Hamilton. Think about guys like that who got lightning in a bottle and won a major championship, then went in the witness relocation.
Right.
It's
absolutely.
It's just not the same.
No. And you think about, Todd Hamilton related to you, and you can't find him. Think about that for a minute.
I asked him that, maybe we're cousins and all that. Then he was telling me the story of his putter, how he had bought it in a pawn shop. He was a nice guy, but he vanished, dude. Like 2 years after he won that Open Championship, gone.
Yep. Unbelievable. Our buddy Scott Hamilton, Post and Courier. You can read his columns constantly, postandcourier.com. You can find him on social media. Quick Twitter account.
Scott Hamilton, PC.
All right, we'll talk to you next week, pal. Have a good one. Enjoy yourself. Don't get arrested. All right, greatest day in the history of the world is next. We hang out live here from Pro Swing Golf on Forest Drive in Columbia, right here on the game. Greatest day in the history of the world. Today is May 16th. Halftime show, Terry Ford hanging out, Ed Bird back at Mission Control. Jay Phillips is here, hitting golf balls badly. Elijah Campbell's here, figuring out what life's going to be like without a beard. Josh Yellman left. Thank God he was stinking the place up. I've never seen a man lose more weight swinging a golf club in my entire life. A lot of great, cool stuff going on here at Pro Swing. If you want to take lessons, they are available whether you're a heck of a golfer with a 3 handicap or you're a boob like Terry Ford who probably take me, if I played 18, if I can break 180, I'd be lucky. Maybe you're a beginner, whatever the case. Pro Swing has lessons for you. Also, you get free half-hour swing analysis from a PGA licensed swing coach here at Pro Swing. You just find out more information. Again, Forest Drive in Columbia, Pro Swing Golf. All right, greatest day in the history of the world. We are looking at, we always go old school a little bit, 1927. Bob Usual for the New York Yankees. Ready for this? Steals second, steals third, steals home in a game. Pretty impressive. Musial also was a power hitter. He was a heck of a hitter for those Murderers Rose Yankee teams back in the 20s. Guy played 9-10 years with the Yankees. Kind of interesting little bio. Fought in World War I, matter of fact. Then started playing baseball, got to the majors with the Yankees, played about 10 years with the Yankees. Put up some great numbers. Playing in right field, career 300 hitter, had power. Again, was part of 3 World Series champions. And then, though, this is the world back then. Think about this. So, Bob Musial leaves baseball after the 1932 season. After retiring from baseball, Musial worked as a security guard at a U.S. naval base for 15 years. Think about that world. That was a professional baseball player playing in New York, was a high-level player, and retired and went off and worked as a security guard at a Navy base. Not to say it's a bad gig, but think about a high-level baseball player that playing in New York would retire today and go do that. He would not do it because of the money. Just a different world for professional sports in its infancy compared to what we see today. I always find that fascinating. And maybe it's only me. 1955, Rocky Marciano defends the World Heavyweight Championship, beating Don Cockrell, a TKO in the 9th round. Of course, Marciano retired undefeated. And in 1955 gets that victory. Muhammad Ali on this day in 1975 and 1977 successfully defended his heavyweight title, TKOing Ron Lyle in 11 in 1975 and defeating Alfredo Evangelista in 15 rounds to defend the title in 1977. Montreal Canadiens won their 19th Stanley Cup on this day in 1976, beating the Philadelphia Flyers in a 4-game sweep. That was the Broadway Bully Flyers, or near the end of the Broadway Bully Flyers, which in Philadelphia to this day, old school puck fans, the Broadway Bullies are near and dear to their heart. Probably the best thing, because again, my girlfriend's from Philly. She was a huge Flyers fan, went to Flyers games as a little girl, loves hockey, which obviously is why I fear for my life whenever I'm around her. She sent me a video the other day because the Philadelphia Flyers played the Soviet team, Soviet national team, when the Soviet national team was looked at as the best team in the world in the early to mid-'70s. Well, the Flyers were so physical, they were beating the snot out of the Russians in this exhibition. The Russians went to the locker room after the first period and refused to come back out. Basically, Ed Snyder, the owner of the Flyers, walked into their dressing room and said, "You don't have to come back out. You just don't get paid." Guess who came back out to get the crap beat out of them for the next 2 periods? The Russian national team. And then they got their checks and all went to the hospital. The one line was great. One Flyer player said, "I can't help it if he kept slipping and his face kept running into my fist." The Canadians took out that team this day in 1976 to kind of end that back-to-back championship run for the Broad Street Bullies. 1980, this was one of those moments in the NBA. 1980, The LA Lakers beat the Philadelphia 76ers to win the NBA title in 6 games. A rookie guard named Magic Johnson fills in at center for the injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know what Magic did? 42 points, 15 boards, 7 assists. A phenomenal performance. He was the Finals MVP, 42 points, most scored by a rookie in the NBA Finals. And you ready for this? It was on tape delay. Let me run that by you again. That game was not live. That game was on tape delay, ran after your late local news. That's where the NBA was in 1980. But thanks to Magic and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, the NBA became the behemoth that it is today. Let me run that by you again. It was tape delayed and ran after your late local news in 1980. 1982, New York Islanders complete the three-peat. They were a phenomenal dynasty, were the Islanders. In 1982, they take out the Vancouver Canucks in a 4-game sweep to win their 3rd straight Stanley Cup title. Hey, speaking of Michael Jordan, 1985 named the NBA Rookie of the Year. Sammy Sosa on this day in 1976 becomes the first Chicago Cub to hit 2 home runs in 1 inning. The sad part about Sammy Sosa, he's not known for all the stats and the numbers and the home runs and the MVPs. He's known for 2 things. A, steroids, and B, what happened to his face after he retired. Because that was weird. But Sammy Sosa on this day in 1996, 2 home runs in the 1st inning for the Chicago Cubs. That is the greatest day in the history of the world. May 16th, a phenomenally historic day. Well, every day is a phenomenally historic day and the greatest day of the history of the world. All right, Carolina baseball tonight, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. A guy named Anderson takes the ball for LSU tonight. Is one of the best pitching prospects in baseball, in college baseball, in high school baseball, Major League Baseball. Anderson is looked at as a top 5 or top 10 pick. One of the 3 elite lefty arms in this draft, according to a lot of baseball folks. That's who South Carolina faces tonight. Gamecocks will counter with a lefty with a lot of arm talent, just some command and location issues in Jake McCoy. That is tonight, 6:45 pregame, 7 o'clock first pitch. Then Saturday at 2:45, we get our coverage started. A top 50 prospect in the MLB draft, Anthony Ianson, takes the ball for LSU, South Carolina, TBA. So that's what's coming up the next 2 days with Carolina baseball. We are at Pro Swing. We will be here all day up until 6, broadcasting live, celebrating the PGA Championship, which is going on round 2 right now. Just to get you caught up real quick on the leaderboard, Jonathan Vegas from Argentina is still ahead. But Johnny's lost a couple of strokes, down to 8 under now. He has finished his round. Matthew Pavon from France is 6 under. Max Homa from the U.S., who went 7 under today, is 5 under, 3 strokes back, as is Luke Donald as well. All right. Wow. I will say this out loud. It took Dreamy Josh almost 3 hours to sweat as much as Jay Phillips has in the last half hour.
I did come in here for getting off the treadmill.
I'm quite impressed with sweaty Jay Phillips. All right, we're going to do our handoff, sponsored by Little Pigs in Alpine next. Jay is a secondary character in this. We're going to let him hit golf balls and sweat. The soon-to-be beardless Elijah Campbell will come in here and hang out with us and talk about what the heck has happened to him. We're appealing. We will talk to Elijah next. And maybe Jay if he stops sweating. Because the post-game show is coming next live from Pro Swing here on Forest Drive in Columbia on the halftime show right now here on The Game. treadmill. We're back. Hanging out here at Pro Swing, Forest Drive in Columbia. Johnny Vegas still holding on at the PGA, 2 strokes up right now.
Incredible name.
You know what?
I almost want him to win just because
I do
of his
too,
name.
just for the name. It reminds me of Johnny Knoxville.
Or Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
It almost seems like an antagonist in the Johnny Bravo
My
cartoons.
oldest kid, I would sit down and watch Johnny Bravo, and I would laugh.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Hysterically.
It is so funny.
The sad thing is the YouTube Johnny Bravo, because they've got like these, whoever put it up there, it's like really bad quality Johnny Bravos.
It's like recorded with somebody's toaster.
Yeah, somebody's VCR.
Right.
But I love me some Johnny Bravo.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Johnny Bravo's the best. Johnny Bravo. And that's what I think is winning the PGA Championship.
And honestly, I think that cartoon has aged even funnier.
Love it.
As absurd as it is.
It's so absurd.
It is absolutely absurd.
Speaking of absurd, you're not going to have a beard.
Allegedly. I'm going to appeal this because if it takes you 3 hours, I probably should set some parameters on this.
My man, Dreamy Josh, started at about 9. He might have hit 2,000 shots. Sweating like Jay.
Like, there's a reason we put time limits on games, right? Like, the Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys don't go out and play a football game until somebody feels like they've gotten a...
Oh, we put a time limit on Josh.
Yeah.
Pro Swing closed at 10, so Josh had till 10
That was
p.m.
until 10 p.m. to hit a hole in
And
one.
we are going to... You can appeal to the judges, and the head judge is Josh Yellman.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what we'll do. If he wants to do it, I'll let him shave my beard.
You know what? That's what we should do. The beard will be shaved only if
Josh does.
Josh Yellman shaves the beard.
Yeah. I
like it. Give me some.
Because, look, you give somebody enough cracks at the apple, they're going to do it, right? I think this was a flawed design. A half-baked idea.
Here was your problem. Now, let me ask you this. Okay. You said the hair, no way, which I totally agree. Dude,
Oh, no way.
I
no
used
way.
to have Elijah Campbell hair.
Oh, yeah, this is never going away.
There was no way no one was going to touch.
The beard can grow back. I can maybe part from the beard. I can maybe part from the beard for a month because that's about how long it takes for it to grow back.
I won't lie to you. When I cut the ponytail, I cried uncontrollably for 2 days.
No, I can't.
So I'm just going to give you the heads up. So there's no way my head was going to be shaved back when I had the Elijah Campbell hair. So I'm with you, dude.
I'm just happy that I still have this head of hair right now.
So you told me about your family's history.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's
you are
atrocious.
And that makes me hate you more that I don't
Yeah.
have any more hair and you have all that hair.
Yeah, I survived it somehow.
All right, so the deal is you will let the beard get cut if Josh Yellman does the cutting.
And we're going to do it live on
And we're
air.
going to do it live on the air and on the live stream.
Yes.
Sound like a plan?
That's the only, that's the only way we do it.
And well, maybe we can give the beard hair to some charity that takes hair.
Beard hair, yeah.
I mean, they take care. I told you, when I cut my ponytail.
Did you locks for love it?
Yeah, I did it. But I
there
said,
you go.
Well, here's what I did though. I said, can I take the ponytail home for the weekend and just spend my last 2 days with the ponytail?
Give it all the food it ever wanted. Its
cuddled
favorite
with
shampoos.
it, laid with it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I took it back Monday and gave it to charity.
No.
But
if I ever cut this bad boy off, then somebody needs to ask if I'm okay. If everything's
well,
going
you
well.
won't be. I'm going to tell you right now.
I'm not going to.
You won't be.
No.
It will be an emotional punch right in the lower extremities.
I tell people all the time too that if I ever start losing it up top, I'm not afraid to grow up looking like Larry David in my older years. I will keep as much of it as humanly possible.
I won't lie to you. When I finally was like done with mine, I told the story in there a little while ago. My girlfriend and I are walking through a mall, and I see a dude with the ponytail, but he had a mullet, and he was losing his hair on top. It was sort of like, you know, think Joe Dirt losing his hair. That's what this guy looked like.
Wow.
And I looked at my girlfriend. I said, forget the mullet for a minute, 'cause I didn't have a mullet. But I said, am I going that route with the hair and the thing? She's like, yeah. I said, all right.
Oh,
so
no.
Hair cuttery. And,
no.
Because I look like, I didn't want to look like that guy that was on Cops every week. You know what I'm saying?
You didn't want to look like Florida Man.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I call that the Florida Man.
Florida Man.
That man wears jorts, proud of it, loves his Florida Gators.
Loves his jorts.
Yeah, loves his jorts, loves his Florida Gators.
All right, what's worse, the man with the jorts or the man in the man capris? Who's worse, jorts or man capris?
Jorts.
It's a tough one. It's a tough call, but I think I'll go with jorts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
man capris are a close second, but jorts.
I don't find the man capris to be as stylistically egregious.
Does it depend on the color of man capri? As Jay almost hits us in the head with a golf ball.
Like, here's the thing too. Like, if they're like super tight, yeah, it might be a little bit of an issue. But like, that's my biggest issue with capris. They don't look like something that gives you your legs a lot of room to breathe.
Yeah, it looks like somebody made stylish high waters.
In a way, yeah,
it kind of is. But the jorts are another level of weird. I'm with you.
Definitely.
I'm with you. So that's our deal. You will let the beard get shaved and cut if Josh Yellman does it.
If Josh Yellman does it.
All right, good deal. All right, obviously you have Alan Cole, who's standing right here. He's going to be on the show.
Yeah, Alan's
you
going to
got
join
that.
us.
What's coming up? That's a good deal.
Bill McDonald's going to join us in the second hour.
Oh, our buddy Bill.
We're going to talk some golf with Billy Mack, and we're going to play a game of Billy Mack or Billy Whack. I give him a take of this PGA Championship.
Really?
He tells us if he agrees or disagrees.
Very nice.
So we've got it themed.
You do have a theme. Is it better than what you're doing with Jay? Like, what's that?
We're giving Jay or Nay a pause today, but we are still doing Jay Phillips versus the Internet, which he desperately needs because now we are 3 days into this competition, and he is 3 games back of the Internet.
He's trying to lose on purpose?
He is being a terrible job at being a Luddite right now. It's just absolutely getting worn up and down the floor.
Some days you feel like, Jay's competitive juices are waning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's lost that dog in him.
Yeah, I think the dog is gone. I think all the kids and the wife have just wiped the dog out of Jay.
You seen the movie Billy Madison where he's sitting in that classroom and he's like,
yeah.
You don't just put up some posters and call it a day. You get your rear back out there and find that bleeping dog. And that's my challenge to Jay Phillips right now.
We got to find Jay's dog.
The puppy
Jay
who
has
lost his way.
dog.
The puppy who lost his way.
All right, good deal. Appreciate you, my man. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell, Ed Bird, great job taking care of everything. Halftime show, we are done at Pro Swing. But we'll be here till 6 as a station. We'll see you. Have a good weekend.